The big brokerage call of the day, and there is a double downgrade this time. Harsh, very unlike you to pick up a negative note, but yeah, pull it out for us.
Well, yes, double downgrade, but this one stands out because it's downgrades across the auto sector that they've focused on. They've clearly highlighted concern, and by they I mean UBS, clearly highlighted concern with regard to the auto space. They're saying that 7 out of 12 companies will actually have EBITDA declines. The index has run up faster than what ought to be. In fact, it's outperformed the Sensex index by nearly 5%. And now valuations not looking too comfortable in an environment where commodity costs are rising for some of these companies, and you're also seeing headwinds with regard to demand. So all of that not adding up very well when it comes to auto. So what they've done is they've downgraded 2 stocks. One is a Maruti, which they've downgraded from a buy to a neutral. So it's just a downgrade. But the double downgrade is a Bharat Forge, where they've downgraded from a buy to a sell. Negative 1.5% return is what they're anticipating. Let me quickly cull out the key points of those two. With regard to a Bharat Forge, they're saying there's global uncertainty, there's weakness in the non-defense business of the company, and there's weakness with regard to end consumer commentary. All of those three not adding up well where Bharat Forge is concerned. Let's talk a little bit about Maruti as well. They're saying that again, Maruti is fighting for the number 2 spot, so it's difficult. There's headwind with regard to consumer demand in the small car segment where Maruti fights. Both of those will likely weigh in on numbers is what they're saying.
Right, that's an interesting one in terms of where Bharat Forge goes, because when you're talking about the global uncertainty and the weakness in the non-defense business, it's the Class 8 truck orders also which are dwindling, and that's a major concern that Bharat Forge could be facing on one side of it. We're just 1.5 minutes away. Kush, very quickly, Bharat Forge, Glenmark, 2 stocks, what would your call be?
Glenmark, very clearly, you have to start booking profit at some point in time, right? I mean, deep into overbought territories. You might as well book now and then buy again later, as and when they give you an opportunity. So Glenmark, very clearly book profits. Partially, if you're anticipating, much higher levels, then book partially, hold the rest. Bharat Forge, I agree with, the reports there, has been in a consolidative phase with a negative bias, 20-50-day moving average, some of the key support levels being broken. The next one is 1200. If that is broken, then you're looking at significantly lower levels of 1150, 1140 as well. So the medium-term trend for Bharat Forge is negative, a prime short candidate.
Okay, I just want to quickly run through some of the pre-open rates before Neeraj takes on the open. Glenmark Pharma 10% up, no surprises. HUL nearly 4% up. Is the departure of Rohit Java being seen as a positive by the street? Z, let's pull up Z. That's seeing a bit of a pain. Anand Rathi firing on numbers. Along with Glenmark, a Walkhard, Acums, Alchem Lab, Emcure Pharma, everything is up this morning. I think this hope of innovation being rewarded is in the air, Neeraj.
Hope of women doing better for the world is also being rewarded, right? So look at what HUL is doing. Well, Dharmesh Kanda has been with us. Dharmesh, apologies not being able to come to you, but we'll come to you right after market open for a brief view as well before we thank you. And thanks for waiting by patiently. But keep an eye out for a lot of weakness in IT-related names. Pharma might thwart it. Not as big a heavyweight, unfortunately, so can't really move the market as much. But the sector could be in focus for sure. And maybe not just the large-scale pharma, but the mid-sized ones which have got a drug or two, which are potential blockbusters. But 1/3% lower, and courtesy IT, I'm sure, because banks are flat. IT should be maybe 1%, 1.7%. I was undermining the weakness, really. 1.7%, dragged by TCS, no doubt, but the others too. Mid-caps and small caps very quickly, if we can, flattish. Let's move to the heat map and focus on the red in the IT pack at the bottom end of the screen. Infosys 3%, TCS 2%, Wipro, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, all of them are down in the red. Remember, it's 1/3% with more red, but essentially being driven lower by the IT pack. That's the weak link. Hindalco, because of that Canada tariffs and the Novelis hit, is down about 1% as well. Some weakness in Trent and M&M, but it's essentially this lot here, IT, which is sulking third day on a trot now, by the way, that the Nifty IT is down. At some point of time, maybe there could be bottom buying. What on the upside? HUL, not quite 4% of the pre-open, but 2.5%, so not bad going. Kotak Bank, about a third of a percent. SBI Life, Adani Ports, etc. So that's, I mean, on the large caps, that's the long and short of it. But as Tamanna comes to talk about the mid-cap end, we have to pull up Glenmark here. Because Tamanna, this is the stock of the day, of the week, maybe of the month as well. 10% higher, Tamanna, and don't be surprised if these rates change to 15% very, very quickly.
Yeah, Glenmark is, we said that, Glenmark Saldanha is the man of the moment. What's amazing is that other pharma companies are following suit. All right, before I come to the specifics and we'll revisit Glenmark, let's pull up the broader markets because while there are a couple of stocks that are shining, markets overall seeing a bit of pain. You're less than 100 points down on the Nifty, so better than what the pre-open was indicating, but nevertheless, small cap 250 about flat. Pull up the mid cap once again and look at what's happening there. That's also completely flat. Let's pull up the sectoral indices and see if there are, volume drying up is also a concern for the market right now. So keep that in mind and in the backdrop as we're seeing what is moving on the market. The hit of the day is Nifty IT, and hit means this sector is hit, not like a Superman super hit kind of a scene. So that's about 1.5%, nearly 2% down. Nifty Pharma, Glenmark lifting the index on his shoulders. Others are also following. FMCG stocks, that's pretty much HUL. Let's be honest, healthcare also following through. So this, just a couple of stories. The broad vision of the market not looking very positive right now. I want to pull up India VIX just very quickly to see what the mood is there before we get to specific stocks. That's important to check as well. Slightly in the positive, so nothing alarming at 11.72. All right, a lot of results have been announced and we've seen the big reaction on TCS coming in, but let's look at IREDA, Tata Elxsi, Anand Rathi. These are some of the other numbers that were announced today. You should also, by the way, keep an eye on Avenue Supermart through the day because those are going to be announced on Friday, today. And that's a bit of a departure from what they usually do. Nevertheless, IREDA about 5%, 4.5% down. Tata Elxsi 4% down. Anand Rathi is the only one that's flying there on the back of numbers. Z is in focus. Shareholders have rejected a bid for promoters to increase stake and buy warrants. 3% down on the stock. IT continues to be under pressure. I'm just going to revisit a TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech. What's happening to that pack? That entire pack is down in trade today because of TCS numbers. Glenmark, let's revisit Glenmark. 10% up last we checked, stays steady there as a rock. But other pharma companies also in focus. Look at Wockhardt, Akums, Alchem, a whole host of them also in the green. Wockhardt, remember, has its blockbuster drug Zenic, and maybe the street is expecting this kind of a valuation for it as well. HUL, once again, let's pull that up. The new Priya Nair's entry being seen as a huge positive by the street, 3.5% up on HUL. So those are some of the big movers at this